Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a storytelling with the Mad Master segment. This time I'm going to be talking about high school and not about anything pleasant in high school, by the way. It's not going to be a... Anyways. I didn't have a very pleasant experience in high school, to say that. So, one of the things that happened to me, though, is an interesting story because I went to an alternative high school for junior and senior year for the most part, except for a quarter when I went back to my old public high school because I got kicked out of said alternative high school for a quarter for not doing the work. Lazy ass. So, this is a story about partly how that came to be. What happened was I was a teenage metalhead, sort of, but a really weird metalhead. I had kind of selective mutism for a while. I would wear metal shirts and stuff like Iron Maiden, whatever, Misfits, or that's not metal, but you know what I mean. And I used to shred my jeans. This is before they sold shredded jeans for, especially girls nowadays have those pre-shredded jeans now. I like to actually, when dating someone, I like to go touch their knee through the jeans. I don't know. Just reminds me of someone anyway. Anyways, the whole thing was, I wore a dog chain too, and I think I had some spikes sometimes, and I had like a flannel shirts. I don't think I had a jean jacket at that point. That is my first, behind me, that's my first battle jacket I've ever owned, by the way. Decided to buy one after all these years, or get one made. So this whole incident happened in this algebra teacher's classroom. So I sort of still have this. It's called depersonalization, derealization disorder, and it's where you get these panic attacks and you don't know if you're like, it's almost like tripping on acid or something. Like you're totally, it's not like an out-of-body experience per se, but it's like you're totally like out of your mind, like you think you're like in a movie or something like that, watching a movie. And I'm not talking about the movies I talk about in the other videos today, but so it's a weird thing that I've had since I was like a little kid. Just part of my, like, I think I have like some OCD / anxiety disorder stuff that undiagnosed. I do have social anxiety. I was diagnosed with that, depression, and what was the other one? What's the other anxiety? Like general anxiety, I guess. I was diagnosed with that years ago. So, anyways, but it's depersonalization, derealization is something I diagnosed myself by watching a lot of videos back in the day. So, anyways, I had a hard time with, it's like agoraphobia too, kind of thing, where claustrophobia, where if you're on this high, like if you're in this classroom cloistered in between all these kids in this tight space up in a higher level of a school, for example, you're going to have a lot more anxiety. And with math, it's automatically used to cause me anxiety. So I went to this guy's class, a couple of times, probably only a couple of times, because I think I quit the class after that. And I was drawn, I used to draw these like really weird satanic kind of like sexually explicit pictures with like pentagrams and blood and like naked women with big breasts and stuff. And okay, so this is what, so imagine this kid drawing this thing, has a metal shirt on, he doesn't talk at all, and then he has like a Stephen King book on the side of the desk, and then the teacher comes up, he's like, and he announces to the class, "Whoa, what do we have, the next Jeffrey Dahmer over here?" So now I would, like, if myself was put in, I could do a Neville Goddard revision thing with this. Awesome, good idea. If I was put back in time in that body, in my brain now, or my mind or spirit or whatever you want to call it, I would have reacted with some smart ass snarky remark, right? Like, well, not a balding middle-aged, at least it's not a balding middle-aged guy that's probably like being pestered by his possibly fat wife every night after he grades the kids' homework or some. I don't know. I was just making that off on the top of my head. I'm just being an asshole, but it's like it's better than that being Jeffrey Dahmer or something. It's like just some smart ass remark. But anyways, this is the time when I was called the next Jeffrey Dahmer. It's an infamous incident in my life that I'm laughing and the funny thing is like the closest I ever got to Jeffrey Dahmer is my refrigerator is full of spoiled. Sometimes I don't eat something. I leave stuff in the refrigerator and stuff. It's kind of gross, but that's the closest I've ever gotten to Jeffrey Dahmer. Other than I don't know, but that's I don't think I'm the next Jeffrey Dahmer. I think it's a little too late for that. I never killed animals and stuff as a little kid. I didn't really like killing animals or insects or being cruel to anything. I just never really liked that. So it's like it was totally off the mark, unfortunately. I really liked those drawings that I used to do. I don't know. It's like satanic drawings. I don't know. It's just funny. It's just kind of a joke, It's just like you see these like when you're like a teenager, you see all these death metal album covers. You're like, yeah, I want to do something like that. That's cool. You're like, oh, it's so outrageous, And then your hormones make you, draw some kind of naked woman with a pentagram on her boobs or whatever, and it's like whatever, or blood coming down, or she's holding a severed head, or whatever the hell, It's like, or a dick, or getting cut off, or whatever. It's not, to me, it's not a big deal. But obviously, people thought, that something was wrong, and then I did this. What happened after that is I did these. You remember those like aptitude tests? All these stupid fucking statistical, whatever you want to call, technocratic bullshit that they're doing at these schools, these public schools. Like you have to pass these standardized tests and all this stuff. It's just like totally dehumanizing. And this whole standard of doing things with regards to education or social policy or whatever political policy is totally anathema to the human spirit in many ways. So if you watch every almost every Adam Curtis documentary, he's a BBC guy, but still it's very invaluable stuff to watch. If you watched every Adam Curtis documentary like I have, you'll know that this stuff is just like, it's meaningless, all these kind of standardized tests and stuff. I'm not saying that there's no function for that or no meaning at all, but just the onus being on that alone is kind of ruined a lot of our education in America. So I did what Beavis and Butthead do with those tests. I said fuck and like anarchy and like fuck society and all this shit. And, instead of the circles like actually answering the questions, like that's what I did. So I had a meeting with a guidance counselor, and they said, you look like I'm not going to say the name of the school, but you look like you're blank material for that school, for that high school. So that was part of it. But yeah, the Jeffrey Dahmer thing was funny though, and I still mention that. And people were like outraged, like, you could have sued the school and sued the teacher. Oh my God, that's terrible. And I'm just laughing now because I'm like, at this point in my life, if someone said that, I'd be like, oh, I guess, I would just laugh because I used to be a little fucking, ball of nerves and like so sensitive and, I'm trying to rebel against that, I admit, but it's just like, I was too sensitive and too, I cared too much what people thought, but yeah, I mean, I guess if I was like a middle-aged teacher back then, like in high school algebra or whatever, I probably maybe would have said the same thing. I don't know, maybe I would have gave the kid a high five, like for drawing a cool picture or, liking some cool music. I don't know what I would have done, but it's like, it's just, I mean, it's silly, but I don't think it's healthy to call someone the next Jeffrey Dahmer, especially when they're having a lot of social problems and a lot of mental health challenges. Of course, I think it's stupid. And yeah, maybe I could have sued him back then, who knows, but it's like, it's just, at this point, I would have been a smart ass and totally snarked out on him and told him off at this point, because my brain works differently than it did back then. It just didn't know how to respond to anything. It was like going like this all the time. I don't have ADHD, but it was just like, it's like, it's like one of those, just like, it's like this drone that can't like land, or a bug that can't land on something, because like there's all sorts of like, I don't know, they know they can't land on something, they'll go squashed. It's like, that's how my brain was back then a lot of the times. Like, I don't know, I didn't know how to respond. That's what one of the things that ruined my getting normal relationships growing up too, as I talked about. It's like I didn't know like how to respond to women that were interested in stuff. I'm like, okay, that's nice. You think you want you want to be rammed by me on a table all night long. Oh, like I mean, I nothing ever like that happened to me, but I have had women proposition me with no like background of knowing me that much, like when I worked at this one job, this girl, I've had that happen numerous times. I'm not trying to boast. I don't think I'm like a model or something, but it's like you've lived long enough. You've had different things happen to you, so it's like I didn't know how to respond to that even up through my middle 20s. It's like I didn't understand some of that stuff. Now it's still hard. It's still difficult because I do kind of freeze a little bit, but like it's not as bad as it was. I'm like, maybe a minute later I'll come up with a response. Oh, it's better than it was. Believe me, it is a lot better. Take more action on that stuff. But yeah, back then my brain just didn't know how to respond to certain things. I just was very slow. I was called slow at one point. Like, then I was like also alternately praised and like got an award for writing in school too. So it's like, which one is it? Make up your mind. Am I slow or am I a English genius? What the fuck? I was an academically motivated English, but I went back to rudimentary math at one point. It's just weird. So I don't know what to say about that. But the next Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah, I'm the next Jeffrey Dahmer. I have bodies buried in my attic. It's just funny. That's the way it was, though. Yeah, I'm not the next Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm a little too old to be the next Jeffrey Dahmer. You need a history of that kind of pathology to really turn out to be that way. Now, would I commit violence? I don't know. I'm a little more apt to say, in my own defense of my liberties and my my life. Yeah, for sure. Back. I was raised to like, oh, turn the other cheek, Christian people, sort of New Age Christians in my family and stuff. But like, now, no, I'm like, fuck it, if someone fucks with me, I'll destroy them or something. I don't know. But like I said, I still have some of that upbringing in me. But I'm just, like at this point, the whole point, I just think it's funny. But anyways, that's out of the question. I don't know what happened to this teacher. I think he retired. He was I don't think he was a bad guy, but those public schools, those big public schools, don't really have the needs. They don't fulfill the needs of the student in a way that they should. That's why society in the United States is so fucked up, in my opinion. This alternative school I went to was great, and I'm proud of being from there. Even if I don't get along with certain people like that were in power, there'd be on Facebook, they've become kind of neoliberals and stuff. But like people that were teachers or principals at this school, they've kind of become a little unbearable sometimes with their politics lately. But it's like, what do you do? What can you do? But yeah, I'm proud of the fact that I went to that alternative school. I'm proud of the fact that graduated from there. I really liked it because it had so many good classes, and the only thing I regret is being a total wuss there, as far as like, but at the same time, it's like, was it a druggy school as people called it around town? I guess it was in some ways, but ostensibly everybody did drugs in high school. The nerdiest kids didn't, but like everybody. I'll tell you a little story. This is one more story about this whole thing. Kind of unrelated. This is before I have to get on with my day. For Christ's sake, I can't be on YouTube all day again, like I was the other day. But the last story is about high school as well. It's like, so this is a funny story because I went to this alternative school after sophomore year, got kicked out for the last quarter of junior year, went back to my old high school. And all these preppies that were like all GQ and like short hair and like all this stuff and like totally like not like, just totally like more conservative looking, more 80s not 80s, but like, they looked more like what a prep is supposed to look like. Went back that last quarter of the year of junior year, they have little longish hair, sideburns, flannel, fucking like you hear them talk about smoking pot on the weekend, and like they're just more like into like alternative fashions and stuff. And I'm just laughing my ass off because for a long time they were making fun of kids that were like a little different or alternative or edgy or something, and now you're fucking doing this. It's like it's kind of like it's kind of like a lot of that probably has the roots in what I make fun of now in my videos, or what I talk about is like people just totally contradicting themselves when what they were a couple months or years before, like just totally, I was told like, you never change, Matt. This ex of mine, she's like, you don't change. I change. Okay, you listen to Lady Gaga instead of Opeth after fucking, I mean, like I give a shit. I'll listen to whatever I want. If I liked, I like one Lady Gaga song, but I'm not, it's like, I don't give a shit. I'll listen to what I like. I don't care about fulfilling some, being some different thing because I was different before, like not changing. I don't think that's maybe what she meant, but it's like, okay, why, how are you, who the fuck are you to criticize me for sticking through with something like metal or, my interests or something all these years? What is that's, you do you. If you want to change and like be more fit in more, if you want to fit in with society more rather than being a teenage metalhead, speaking of that, that's on you. If you think that's better for you, that's your thing. I happen to do my thing. Criticize me all you want for being a something, the number blank something, teenager, whatever, because I'm a certain number teen, as my friend calls it. With the number, he says like 30 teen, like 35 teen, 43 teen. He makes this jokes like we're so like immature for our age and stuff. Like that's what he says. It's like makes it a joke, and I think it's hilarious. But yeah, that's if you think that fitting a certain image is better for you than your previous image or what you grew up with, that's fine. I happen to cut my hair now. I don't grow it out long anymore, even though I did last year, and it just started looking like shit. That was a decision I made years ago, that I would not have long hair again. That's my growing up decision, or whatever you want to call it. I just think I look better with short hair at this point. I still wear metal shirts. I still, that was something I didn't do for a while. I was like trying to wear nice shirts, and stuff, and like fit in because I read the game or whatever, and I was fatter than I am now, and I looked like total shit, and I had like a shaved head, and like tried to copy Neil Strauss with the soul patch. So there's a picture of me out there, awful picture, and I just want to burn it, but it's like me looking miserable in this like really tight, like I was super fat and not losing weight like I am again, by the way. I was super fat, almost 300 pounds, and I had this like nice shirt that didn't really fit, and I just looked miserable, and I had my blood, like the eyes, the photo thing with the red eye thing. I didn't have red eye at that point or something on my camera, and I looked like total shit and looked miserable, but I was trying to do this like thing, like this Neil Strauss thing or something. After I read the game, it's out there, it's pretty horrible, but it's like I was trying to change, but I'm just like, whatever, I just do what I want. And sometimes it's just a mood that I'm in, it's just like if I'm in the mood for a nice shirt, at one point I bought all these shirts from this place called Daddy-O's. They were like these bowling shirts and stuff, because I was like this rockabilly kind of, I like this kind of rockabilly sideburns kind of thing, like, yeah, I like that kind of look on women too, like the, like modern rockabilly thing, not the like, not literally back in the 50s, but like now, like the aesthetic a little bit in there. I liked a little bit of that, like because this band I was in, too, had a little bit of that influence and stuff, and so it's like kind of getting into that a little bit. And I still have that little bit in me. I still have a little bit of that fashion. Once in a while, dig out a actual nice shirt. I don't give a shit though. I don't fucking care. I do what I want. Sometimes, it's like in high school when you talk about your whole thing with like what I talked about when I got out of metal for a while. When I was anti-metal or whatever, for like a year or whatever or two, and I talk about that, but it's like I still like Skinny Puppy. You know, I still love. I mean, that was one of the best shows I've ever seen. Was Skinny Puppy like in 2015? It's fucking incredible. So, do I regret getting out of metal for a while? Hell no. I'm glad I got out of metal. I'm glad I got out of metal because I got into some really cool stuff. I just bought a Throbbing Gristle album because I was like, I want to hear that again. I drove from this other town that, I don't have, I'm not going to I go into that in another video, but I drove this other town the other day and listened to that. I was like, wow, this is some really crazy stuff. I still like that stuff. When I got out of metal, I got into some really cool stuff and I'm still into it. Just like I adapted myself to get, I conditioned myself to like myself with short hair. It just works better with attraction and I just think it looks better. I just like the vibe, with the sideburns and stuff. That's just what I like now. It is what I like now. But I don't have to pretend, sit here and rationalize it like, well, I changed because I used to have blonde hair. I was a metalhead, but now I was such a fucking hesher, but now I'm better because I'm gonna look down on you because you're still wearing metal shirts and you're still, I don't have to be like this fucking person, these assholes, bitches, that do this. It's just so stupid. So I just do whatever the fuck I want. And sometimes it is accidental, like with the whole getting out of metal, and it is because of peer pressure, trying to do something different or trying to experiment, but it kind of flows with the energy of my life, and it happens to it happens to change me a little bit, and I'm like, okay, well that was kind of beneficial in a way. Maybe I expanded my mind and I sort of closed it in other ways, but then I went back to I opened that other door again, which was metal in this case. So it's like, well, I'm glad I'm into more than metal, but metal is my thing, It's not like that's going to change, since I was 10, almost 11, that's what I've been into, That's my thing, metal. It's what it is. People said it was going to be a phase. It's a fucking long phase. People thought, oh my god, it's so bad. But yeah, it's just like it's one of those things. It's like I'm not gonna change things that I don't need to change. I'm gonna explore other things that might change me. How about that? So I'm not gonna change on purpose because people want me to change, but I'm gonna explore things a little bit, and that may change me in the process. That's what happens. That's the better part of life, is if you explore other things, you're open-minded to other things, you're who you are, but you explore these other things and they change you as a result, instead of the other way. It's like, well, I'm gonna cut my hair because metal's dead, and listen to alternative music. I'm gonna listen to Creed and I don't even know, but I'm gonna listen to Hootie and the Blowfish and Creed and a little bit of Soundgarden, totally and then listen to I don't fucking know, Veruca Salt instead of listening to Metallica and Slayer because I think it's more mature at my age. I just turned 19, fucking, whatever the fuck these people did or whatever the hell they were thinking, I'm not gonna